The Great Chicago Fire of 1871 was the most catastrophic event in the city's history. When it was over, much of the city was in ruins. The story has been told many times in books and in movies. Now a smartphone app created by Northwestern University and the Chicago History Museum makes it possible to hold Chicago fire history in your hand, bringing the past back to life and turning smartphone users into mobile historians. The story of the Great Chicago Fire is a tale of terror, devastation, and resilience. It started on October 8, 1871, in or near Mrs. O'Leary's barn. It lasted 2 days, destroying 18,000 buildings and homes, killing 300 people, and leaving nearly a third of the city's 300,000 residents homeless. The story has been told countless times in numerous ways. Now there's an app for it. Northwestern University professor Carl Smith curated and authored The Great Chicago Fire and the Web of Memory, a website and iPhone app that brings history to life in a new and interactive way, including tours of 10 distinct Chicago areas and 54 fire-related landmarks.
We're here at the northeast corner of Jefferson and DeKoven Streets, and this is the place where the Chicago Fire began. Patrick and Catherine O'Leary lived in a kind of double-family cottage that was in the middle of the block, and sometime around 9 o'clock, a fire broke out in the barn just north of their cottage over here. And since the wind was coming from the southwest, it blew the flames catastrophically toward the city. The irony of the whole thing was that the O'Leary house itself did not burn down.
The app features a handwritten transcript of O'Leary's testimony. Hundreds of other images and artifacts from the Chicago History Museum archives were scanned or photographed in ultra-high resolution, allowing users to zoom in and view them in extraordinary detail.
You can look at these historical images, you're on your iPhone, you can be at a physical location where it's identified, you pull up this historical image, and you're able to zoom all the way in on your mobile device to actually see the faces of people that were standing where you were standing 130 years previously.
In 1871, as now, the west side of the building was the Chicago City Hall, and the east side, the Cook County building. The fire came here moving from the southwest, from where the O'Leary house was. It jumped the river and then moved up this way. And the mayor of the city came to the place to sort of monitor the fire from the city hall, from the top. And when he realized that the building was lost, finally abandoned the building. There was a large bell in the cupola of the building that rang the general fire alarm, and that was left ringing when they abandoned the building. And finally, when the tower collapsed, the bell fell through the bottom of it, and the bell was then melted down into souvenirs, into little bells that were sold to raise money after the fire.
For anyone with a smartphone, the app does more than bring history alive. It makes it accessible. These high-resolution images of fire artifacts tell the story of loss, devastation, and temperatures hot enough to melt glass marbles and fuse together a stack of plates or a pile of screws.
Beyond this cooperation between a scholar and academic and research technologies, what is most remarkable about this whole project is the collaboration between a research and teaching university, Northwestern, and this major historical museum and archive, the Chicago History Museum. Remember, all the stuff in it is from the Chicago History Museum, and it's really their exhibit.
Rudolfo Vieira of Northwestern University's Information Technology Department was the app's principal developer.
The idea was to make this information available anywhere. We don't have to go home and look at our computers like, oh, what happened here? What is this? What is that?
One of the ways the app brings history to life is through music.
So not only you have all the historical background, but you get a little bit of what the people's lives were at that point.
The app includes more than 20 personal memoirs by people who experienced the fire firsthand. Some tell of the homelessness that so many endured.
So many people were homeless after the fire, including a lot of poor people, and one way to deal with the housing problem was to build barracks in different parts of the city, including barracks right here. So we had displaced poor people living across the street from a wealthy person whose home had survived the fire.
Chicago's famous Michigan Avenue water tower survived the fire unscathed.
The water tower itself did not burn and stood here and has become over time a kind of emblem of the resilience, of the unconquerable quality of Chicago, as in many ways the most important memento of the fire.
Within 4 years after the fire, Chicago was largely rebuilt, by all accounts, stronger and more beautiful. Now a key piece of its history is captured in a device that fits neatly into the palm of your hand.